Well, it's election time, and it is time to get out and vote. You have 17 more days before you can cast your vote for President of the United States and the local elections here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But before we do, we've got with us someone that's going to talk about the importance of voting and why your vote counts. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and you're joining us for our 2024 election series. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. As always, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday that we're having in Hampton Roads, and we hope that you're having the same where you're listening to us across the country and, yes, even across the world. As we broadcast every Sunday from none other than the Norfolk State University, home of the Spartan Nation, for none other than WNSB Hot 91, the soul of VA. Look, we're winding down our election series because guess what? It is election time, 17 days as of today, where you can go out and cast your vote. Now, here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, you know that we have early voting, so you can get out there, go early vote, and we have voting on Saturdays and Sundays. Souls to the polls. It is available. So if you need to go vote, just simply go call your local voter registration office, find out where you can go vote. And if you haven't registered to vote, guess what? You can cast a provisional ballot even on the day of the election, but make sure you go out and vote. Listen, we've got a great show lined up for today. And we got somebody here who, let me tell you, when we first met, it was just like a sister and brother type relationship that we had. Phenomenal kindred spirit. And she is not only a Spartan NSU alum, but she is a host, an activist, a producer. She's doing it all. And she is totally 10 toes down in the community. And is none other than NSU alum, Maleena Lawrence. Maleena, thank you for joining us here on Stay the Water.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Spartan family. I'm very, very excited to be present today and have this conversation with you. And, I know I want to jump into it, but I don't even know where to start.
Well, listen. Like I said, I introduced you as my sister, so we just.
I know that's why I was like, and what we doing double dutch on this because it's a lot to talk about in a short period of time. But I'm ready.
Look, it is a lot, but I want you to get it in because I want our audience to hear, what we're talking about as it relates to the election. So, last time you were here, and I want to go back just a little bit in 2020. I got this call. I said, from our mutual friend. I said, listen, I got a friend that's coming to NSU. She's traveling from across the country because you're out there in California because she's got this passion that's burning because she wants to release the pressure. It was COVID. Everybody was locked up, locked down. we had this thing going on now with the former president. I mean, it was a lot happening, right? It was even before the November election, before the insurrection. Who knew that would happen? Listen, tell our audience a little bit about Release the Pressure before we get into your current project.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm happy that we're laughing today because when I was driving across the country to release the pressure and heal our community, to do a wellness check in our community and on our communities with people in various states and cities, we travel like 6,600 miles on my own dime. I took what I received for my company because of our loss of wages and productivity. And I invested in myself. I invested in us to share our stories, to capture our stories, and really see what people were growing through and going through in order to survive, not to mention we were in an election year. And so I didn't want to get caught up at that time during the heat of the election, but I wasn't going to ignore it either because I had concerns and issues. And I was so far gone on the candidates that I focused on the people. And when I made that investment, I called up my friends, my family, and I said, yo, I ain't got much, but you ain't working. I ain't working. But what I do have, I got a stipend for you. I'll pay for food. I'll pay our hotel. And then I'll ask our community to donate along the way. But right now I got these startup funds. My mother helped me get a car. I reached out to my brothers and sisters from another mother, and they helped me get it all together, wrap my vehicle. I didn't have a big bus, but I had a small tracker, a Honda Element. And I wrapped it. I created the theme. I did the mental mapping because I'm an entrepreneur. So I took that creative, I took my activist skills, I took the relationships I had. Shout out to Faith in Action and other alumni that hopefully you guys will see coming up. And I asked them to help me, and they said yes, including you, Eric. So I pulled up on a few HBCUs along the way, too, to make sure that students that were locked down, and it's so funny, I was going to say incarcerated, but we were just in our house and told to stay there. And I just felt like we were duped. So during that time, I was mad. I was frustrated. I was irritated, too, because justice, as I said, I don't live far from a hospital. Here we are. But the sirens of life were steadily sounding off, and I wanted to be a person to at least say, what can we do, and answer that question? What is being done? How is leadership evolving? How are people needs being met? How and where are people being neglected? I did want to be on the front lines of that. I wanted to see with my own eyes. I did not believe everyone was in the hospital and everybody was staying inside. And I didn't want to be inside, but I strategically had to for various reasons. And one of them is because I'm a full-time caregiver on top of being an independent, producer. And I had to do what I had to do for my family. And so once I bartered that and negotiated a family plan, I bounced. And I took a couple of people with me with cameras, and we popped in the neighborhoods to say and see how the pressure powered by the people was actually being released, because people were going through, basically, we had no toilet paper, we had no food in some places. People were getting kicked out of their homes because they couldn't afford. There weren't moratoriums everywhere. People were, just vying for survival in some really, special ways. And even though I heard it a lot when people in the Black community were saying, this ain't new to us, we're survivors, that is true. But to a degree, there's certain things that just from a human rights perspective, and that's why I went on the road, because from a human rights perspective and from a mental state, and to be spiritually driven, we didn't deserve that. We didn't deserve to be sideswiped by, in my mind, a social experiment during social unrest and an election year and false promises being made. There had to be someone to capture the story. There also needed to be a person to witness the bravery that people were standing up in their communities, making sure everybody was okay. We were coming together. It wasn't always a desolate situation. We had each other, and I was happy to witness Americans and Indigenous people, Black people, counting on each other to get through the day and the night. And families came together and they started new businesses. And a lot of things that were happening on the dark side, there was a lot of light happening in our communities, and a lot of leaders stepping up who just wanted to do something and say something. So for that reason, I went on the road to find out what these pressure points were and these issues were, and really give life to people so they can have an opportunity to share what was really going on. And we bumped into some things our own selves, but that's exactly what I did and why I pulled up on the campus of Norfolk State during that time too, because the student body was also, quarantined, sent home or on campus. So we were all figuring it out together. And I just wanted to be a part of, showing up and bringing some light and some life force to some dark places and amplified places too.
Absolutely. When you said what's going on, I automatically went back to the old R&B. What's going on? Because absolutely, because again, like you said, people forgot. We forgot about that time, but it really showed the activism that you have, and you've been doing this for a while, right? So it's not like you're new to the game. You've been 10 toes down when you were a student here, back in your home state of Delaware, but now in California.
Yes.
Through the Maleena Lawrence show and the things that you're doing. I mean, it's so much where, this show is just not about bringing policymakers, but it's about bringing community engagers as well, to address issues important to the community. And you represent that because you do it on all levels. When we talk about 2020, that was a big year. It was an election year. The tide had turned. That was the last year of the Trump era, at least we thought, definitely in the White House. And then, Joe Biden comes in and he brings us out of COVID. And now we're here in 2024, 4 years later after releasing the pressure. And it seems like the pressure is back on. And you've got another project that you are working with, and you're going to be here at your alma mater at the Norfolk State University at the greatest homecoming in the world. And you're bringing another project to us, right? So before the homecoming festivities, tell us about this election project that you're bringing to Norfolk State.
Absolutely. And again, I'm honored. I'm so honored. I'm working with students in the mass comm department, the clubs, the Content Creators Club, and the National Broadcast Society, along with Student Government Association. And my production company, Deep Rooted Entertainment, is just happy to bring the Maleena Lawrence Show back. 17 years ago, I was living in Oakland, California. I was working at Congresswoman Barbara Lee's office, Eric, and as I was doing going over constituent grievances and handling constituent grievances in the office of Congresswoman Barbara Lee, I also was working at Comcast Cable when they had a lot of local stations. And then I moved on to a full-time job at a policy firm, Jim Gonzalez and Associates in Sacramento. And I was at that lobby firm. I worked on public policy, never stopped doing Comcast, my show, the Maleena Lawrence Show. I was learning how to direct and produce content for television. And so I fell into hosting so naturally, and they were like, you need your own show. I was producing for a lot of cats there in Oakland, finding and identifying independent artists. That's where I really started doing talent shows for local stations and independent stations in the Bay Area. And and that was after I left Norfolk State, graduated in 99, which is our 25th year, our 25th anniversary, actually, for anybody in class of 99. We're celebrating at this year's homecoming our 25 years post-graduation. So I looked at everything. And these past couple of years post-COVID, they've been trying for me. And so I wanted to say and see, what is it that I'm going to invest in that would give me joy to a degree where I'm still giving back and being of service, because at my core, that's who I am. I got so busy and I got caught up in some other things that you get a little deterred. So creatively, having a platform, which is great when you can bring light and voices to the forefront and let people know what is going on and shift consciousness in the community and entertain at the same time. So I rebooted the Maleena Lawrence Show. We have several episodes in the can, and I've been holding on to it. And shout out to Kelsey Newman and some other friends from Norfolk State that I work with on this show, actually producing the show. They were like, we just got to drop it now. You're just waiting for perfect and blah, blah, blah. A lot of creatives, y'all know what that feels like. But in the grand scheme of things, you said 4 years later, 2020, now we're in 2024, and the political landscape is percolating, if not, it's still critical mass. It's percolating at critical mass. And so we got to jump in. So part of me jumping in my own life and assisting the community and helping people understand what public policy, the impact public policy has on our quality of life, I rebooted the Maleena Lawrence Show. It's still the same brand, which is generationally driven. And Too Short says 8 to 80, blind, crippling, crazy. And we just take it a little bit further. We really are like, all right, everybody pull up this chair. We got to talk about it. We want to learn about it. We got to hear about it, these different perspectives. And our college age students, our family, our alumni, our professors, this is the perfect space and place, because for me, this is where it started. I was finding my voice on campus. I was doing a lot because I wanted to, not because I was wanting to be seen or heard. It just came natural for me to be involved and to do something and find solutions. So this is a solution-driven show. It is still, we're pitching it. It's a daytime talk show. It's a generationally driven daytime talk show. And this homecoming, I will literally be virtually just coming back out. You know what I'm saying? Like getting back out there, in the world of creativity and talk show and journalism. It's just really amplifying my voice after I don't know how many years, to be honest, Eric. But it's time. Now is the time. And we went from the Pressure Tour to the Maleena Lawrence Show, and from here we're going to be dropping our premiere season episode on reparations, which is what we're highlighting. So a lot is going on in our world. And a lot of people were caught up in who's going to vote for who, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're voting for a reason. We're voting because we have issues that are on the line and things that we're concerned about as United States citizens, as constituents, as taxpayers, as students, as providers. And honestly, just as human beings living on this planet in a country that operates under democracy or in democracy, so we think. So we have to prove that, and we have to be involved. So this episode of the Maleena Lawrence Show premiere will be viewed again on campus. I'll have to tell you the room number and all that good stuff. It's coming, but it won't be hard to find because between Student Government Association, the National Broadcast Society, and the content creators, we're definitely going to put the word out. And with you on the radio show, we're going to put the word out and have that information by the time we finish this conversation.
Absolutely. Listen, you're coming home to relaunch, your voice. And I'm listen, we're so excited, but I'm glad that you talked about how you got to this point, because I think that a lot of people think that we just arrived. You just hear our voice on radio, you've been doing this for a while, but really it's a process. And I think the important thing that you talked about and discussed is how you found your voice here at Norfolk State, here on this college campus. And many times, this is why I love education so much and higher education, because it's an opportunity to take that seed that we've been given, that each of us have been given, that God gave us, and you start to now create this soil, create this ecosystem. Now you're planted. Now you're being watered. Now you receive the sunlight. And then you spring forth and work in your passion and your purpose that was created for you. So, listen, I feel you're in your passion and your purpose. If you don't know it, you are doing the thing, right? So, yeah. So, and I want people to know, like the Maleena Lawrence Show, if you go on YouTube and just take a look at the Maleena Lawrence Show, Maleena Lawrence, she's interviewed, like I said, she's worked in policy, she's worked for U.S. congresspersons, she worked for lobbying groups, and not only that, but she's interviewed individuals on the ground, city council persons, elected officials, community activists. But she's also hosted on the red carpet at the Image Awards, at the Oscars, so she's done it all, but her passion is back here in the community, and her love for her institution, Norfolk State, shows tremendously. Let's talk a little bit about, why is this so important? We talked about the election, and you said we're voting for a person, but it's more than just voting for a person. We're voting for a reason. Why is it important for that reason for college students, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-olds, to sit at the table to talk about that reason?
Great question, Eric, and it's so multi-layered, but I'll start here. One of the things and reasons why I vote, and I think it's important to vote, is that generationally speaking, I know where my family came from. I know areas where I don't know where my family came from because it got lost in translation, be it a slave trade or just being disregarded in our society through colonization on many different levels. So I vote for my ancestors. I do. I speak for my ancestors. I show up for my ancestors, but I also learn to show up for myself. I show up for my mother. I've showed up for my community members. And this time I'm showing up not just for me, but also for the future. And I think it's important. Sometimes we get lost in translation because everyday life is lifing. And I get it. I remember being a student on campus and we needed benches just at the bus stop. Matter of fact, we just needed a bus stop, period, like more than a sign. We wanted a cup. We wanted covering. I lived in the towers, in the South Towers, and we had things disrupted in our bathrooms. We needed things fixed, and we got that done. Student Government Association and affiliations with other organizations, we had issues. We brought it to the table. We brought it to administration, and that, along with other things prior to even showing up in school, is the reason why our voices count and our votes count, because there are needs that have to be met that we pay into financially or consciously, intellectually. There's opportunities for us to get something out of it. Voting is reciprocal. So anytime you think that it's just a vote, no, you're putting something in. You're casting your civic duty is operating. Your civil rights are activated, and not to mention your financial brain trust. Hopefully, is in circulation as well, because you vote because policies matter, and policies are also publicly and federally funded. And those policies right now that are on the line, what I'm voting for, not just why I vote, to remind people that we're in a democracy. United States of America, we're technically or supposedly living in a democracy, which means no, we're not being controlled. We have buy-in. We have say-so as a business owner, as a property owner, as a student. You know, I paid for school out of my pocket. I didn't have parent in loans. I didn't have parents to support me with that. Some people's parents are paying for school, and they're working hard to pay college tuition in these days and times. You know what I'm saying? And so
I know
that's
exactly what you said. I got two already.
It's coming out of a pocket book, a pocket wallet, and a pocket book. So go figure. And with that being said, we should all be negotiating when the rates are too high. Because why? Because we want to be educated. We deserve to attend a Black institution who is either publicly funded or privately funded. And when it's not properly funded, the person who suffers is the students, the teachers, the whole student body, not just us, as attendees. And it's important because when you lose funding, you lose access. And we deserve equity. Like I said, is a big buzzword, but when you don't have it and it's not at the table, we suffer. And I'm tired of watching and seeing and hearing our community suffer when we have solutions. We have so many solution-oriented individuals that can make waves and change. So why hold it up? We don't have to bottleneck on in certain things. So we vote. We vote to keep our systemic policies in place, or out of, or we change the policies and we change the people. If the people aren't validating and legislating policies that actually work for us, they need to go. That's the power of the people. And I love to remind people that we have power, that we are valued, and that we are important just as well as our rights are important, so are our families and our quality of life. And I think we've seen enough derailment when it comes to equity and justice being served in our communities. I'm happily saying we can do this. Let's vote.
Absolutely. Look, the power lies with the people. And listen, you broke it down. In a democracy, that's where the power lies. But it's about knowledge and having the knowledge and then having the boldness to exercise that power. And this is what Maleena, I think this is what your project is about. Giving the knowledge, giving the avenue, and instilling the boldness to activate the power that the people have. So in our last part of this conversation, and I'm glad you stayed with us the entire show. I know that you're busy, you're traveling internationally, and that you'll be back here in this week, with us to actually film the show. So I'm glad you're taking out a little time of your busy schedule to be with us. But as we take a look at getting involved, talk about the drop date of the show and how can the listeners get involved in your project, Relaunch the Maleena Lawrence Show. And then tell us a little bit about, give us some golden nuggets, just a pep talk about getting involved in your community.
Ooh, okay, pep talk. Okay. So we're going to get involved on campus. I'm coming home. It's homecoming, so ain't no sleep. It's homecoming week. We ready. We are so ready. We are so juiced. I'm so happy it hasn't hit me yet because it's my birthday and I am going on vacation before I drop down. So I'll be coming from vacation from Aruba to Norfolk State, hitting the yard, going straight into production with the students. That's another thing. We're going into production. So it's not that they're just putting on this event. I am co-producing the event with the Norfolk State student body in the Department of Mass Comm. And through that, we will be at, I told you I would have this location before we got off the phone. We'll be at Brown Hall, lower lobby area on Thursday, October 24th from 3 to 5 p.m. The first part from 3 to 4, it's the viewing party of the Maleena Lawrence show. First episode will drop, and then thereafter people can follow the show rollout because we're pitching the show as well. So you can follow the show rollout on Instagram, and we'll be on Instagram and TikTok by then, and it will be at the Maleena Lawrence show. And Maleena is spelled Maleena, Lawrence, Lawrence show. The Maleena Lawrence show, at the Maleena Lawrence show, is we're going to be dropping it socially, and then the content would then live on our website, and we are pitching to streamers. And in the meantime, we are always independently producing and protecting our intellectual property and sharing that with the world. And I'm happy to say from 4 to 5, the second half of our program, we're going to be doing the GOTV special. I'll be hosting the GOTV special from 4 to 5. And then that first hour, again, will be the viewing party. And we'll be dropping the first premiere episode, the Maleena Lawrence show, featuring reparations. And then we'll go into that discussion with the student body, along with any and all issues that the students actually want to discuss that matter most to them. It's about getting out the vote, and you cannot get out the vote without discussing what's on the hearts and minds of our students and of our voters, because we'll have alumni there too. So alumni is voted. Alumni is welcome. The students are welcome because it's homecoming. And again, we push generational content that shifts the consciousness in communities. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, we invite everybody to come out and join us. The students are working hard to put this on. Shout out to Latif, one of the professors who's just been 10 toes down too, and we go way back. So this is literally a homecoming, a celebration of 25 years post-Norfolk State and still standing, gracefully blessed. And I just want to take this opportunity to shine light on those who have helped me to sustain my ideas, that pour into my ideas. And they also went to Norfolk State. So it's not just about me. It's about us, and it's about us working together. And we, the Park Avenue Foundation is giving 10 scholarships out this week during homecoming week as well. So we've been working with them. I've got, students to apply for scholarships, but they too have, poured into identifying Spartan legends, and I was highlighted as a legend as well. So it's just kind of like, okay, I just been working, Eric. I just been in my lane. That's right. Doing the work, and so now I'm coming up for some air, and I want to share.
Well, that's what legends do. They know their lane, know their purpose, know their passion, and they just drive forward. Maleena Lawrence, NSU alum, host, producer, activist, and yes, a Spartan legend as well. So the drop date is it's going to be filmed this Thursday, and the drop date for the show is?
The drop date for the show is October 24th on the campus of Norfolk State University in Brown Hall, lower lobby area. You'll see us. We're not hiding. We're literally out front in the lobby. That's right. We want everyone is welcome. We even invited some of our Spartan candidates who are candidates in the local elections. We're not endorsing anyone, but we definitely are calling on conversations that are leadership-driven conversations for student participation. And that's what it's all about. So I really want to hear from the students. I want to hear from alum, and this is an opportunity for us all to break bread and get out the vote.
Absolutely. Listen, looking forward to it because I'm going to be on the show as well. So it's going to be a great conversation.
You're going to be there, Eric, one of our guests. Okay, I forgot. Sir, you are going to be there as one of our guests, talking about the importance of debate and logic and leadership. Our SGA president is going to be on the second GOTV panel Prince will, be sharing his points of view, and we'll have some virtual participation, some virtual surprises as well. Those Spartans who can't make homecoming, they're going to be joining us virtually, and we have some black women in entertainment for Kamala. They're going to join us, and then hopefully we will have. I can't announce it now because I'm waiting, but if not, it'll be a surprise. Some of our celebrities that graduated from state, we're working on that. So if they're available, they're going to virtually pour in and show up to help us get out the vote. Even on Friday, we'll have a table and we'll be on the yard getting information to people about election protection and knowing your rights.
Awesome. And
highlighting the Policy Institute on campus.
Absolutely.
So, just getting the word out.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. And that's what this show is all about. That's what Norfolk State is all about. So make sure you tune in when it actually releases. And we'll do a follow-up on the next show after it actually drops to make sure people get out and vote. But this has been Stay in the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric LaVille. Thank you again for joining us as you always do. Until next time, be good, be great. God bless. And we'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Carrie Washington, and you're listening to State of the Water with award-winning host Dr. Eric LaVille.